You are about to enter the world of urban legends, where fact is often stranger than fiction. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between truth and urban legend. On Urban Legends, you'll see 3 stories. They could all be true, but they're not. Only one story is real. On this episode, love and marriage gone wrong. A husband blind with jealousy finds out that revenge and concrete don't mix. With a fine feathered friend like this, a cheating husband doesn't need enemies. And a lottery winner who ends up being a loser in life and love. 3 stories, but only one is true. Your job is to sift through the facts to separate the legends from the truth. We'll tell you if you're right at the end of the show. First up, concrete convertible. Bethesda, Maryland. It's said that this is the best educated city in the U.S., but the man in this story believes life's most valuable lessons aren't found in an expensive college. Meet Brandon Skinner. He drives a concrete mixer truck for a living. Brandon has a rock-solid reputation on the construction worksite, but when it comes to women, Brandon gets himself mixed up. Meet Brandon's ex-wife, Maggie Skinner.
Well, he was a really good guy, but he had a lot of issues with trust. All his other girlfriends had cheated on him. And his mom had up and left him when he was really young. He was an impressionable age. So, yeah, he was hurting inside.
Brandon believed his new bride, Maggie, was a woman who was going to stick around.
Oh, Maggie, she's just the best thing ever happened to me. I mean, yeah, she's the best woman I ever met.
If I was walking down the street and guys were checking me out, he didn't like it. He would just get really angry and upset. He just couldn't stop himself from, checking up on me and following me and, just making sometimes he'd listen in on my phone calls just in case, and it was always just my girlfriends.
Brandon's issues of trust just won't go away, and his insecurities are cemented in his psyche. Jealousy can be self-destructive. Meet relationship expert Gladina McMahon.
When you're jealous, you can see a threat in everything. Jealousy is about threat, because your own insecurity will tell you that if I'm not good enough, someone else can just walk in and take the object that I love, in this case, Maggie.
September 10th, 2000. Brandon is home early from work. He overhears Maggie on the phone, and his suspicious streak gets the better of him.
My husband will be at work all day. No, he doesn't suspect a thing.
She was saying stuff like, why don't you come over around 1? And then she started giggling like a schoolgirl and said she couldn't wait. And, oh, man. Oh. I mean, you don't have to tell me what the hell that sounded like.
Brandon tries to convince himself that his wife isn't a cheat, but deep down, he fears the worst.
Maggie never cheat on me. I mean, she wouldn't. She's not that kind of woman, At the end, 1 o'clock comes around and I get in my rig and I drive home.
Brandon's fears are confirmed. There's a strange car in his driveway.
And not just any car, a convertible. My dream car.
The dream car is the center of his nightmare.
And I see Maggie in the window and she gives this guy this hug. I just saw red. I just snapped. And I backed my rig up, dropped the chute, but I filled that whole car full of cement. And I felt great.
Brandon feels great until he learns who owned the convertible. It was Brandon's new car. An anniversary present from Maggie. Maggie had been saving to buy him his dream car, which the salesman was just dropping off. It's now filled with 250 square yards of concrete.
That was it for me. You know, I loved Brandon. I did. But who knows what the next crazy thing is going to do is I can't live like that. I can't.
You know, there's not a day that goes by that I don't wake up and I just wish he'd come back, because well, I love you, Maggie, and just love you.
A sad ending to Brandon's story, but is it true? Did his jealous rage sink his marriage? Don't decide right away, as we have 2 more stories to come. While you're waiting, here's a mini-myth. Mini-myth number 661. A cable car named Desire. San Francisco, April 1964. A devout Lutheran woman, Gloria Sykes, was injured in an accident on a cable car. The traction failed on a Hyde Street service, and it rushed backwards, throwing Gloria against a handrail, giving her a pair of black eyes and some nasty bruises. She sued the municipal railway for $500,000. Her lawyer also claims the accident had altered her personality. She suddenly has an insatiable sexual appetite, a nymphomaniac, in his own words. Is this cable car story true, or is it off the rails? It was true, and a jury awarded her $50,000 in compensation. On Urban Legends, there are 3 stories. One is true, while the others never happened. Can you spot the real story? So far, you've seen the jealous husband ruin a car that was his own surprise gift. Now, watch as a pet bird spoils the adulterous affair between a husband and his mistress. We'll tell you which story is true at the end of the show. Freiburg, Germany. This is a story about a woman and her pet parrot, but not just any pet parrot, an African gray parrot with a gift for mimicry. Meet Hugo. This is the owner and best friend, Regina Seifert. In 1988, Regina has just married the man of her dreams, Romeo. They had found each other after Regina, looking for a soulmate, had placed a personal ad in the newspaper. Regina knew she had found Mr. Right.
Beispiel hat geschrieben, würde sehr.
He wrote that he might like to sit in front of the fire with a glass of wine, listening to nice music, maybe go dancing. Really everything that a woman wants to hear and everything that a woman would like to do.
Love bloomed, and after a quick courtship, the two married. But he's away a lot of time on business, so that leaves a lot of time for Regina and Hugo to bond. The parrot is a fantastic companion, and she spends hours in conversation with the bird. The power of speech comes naturally to these creatures. Meet parrot expert, Sonny Stollenmeyer.
The grey parrot is probably most famous for its speaking ability, purely because it can pick up so many words, use them in context, and use different tones in its voice, like a female or male voice. You can tell the distinction. And also they make great pets because they are quite affectionate and they interact with the family a lot.
Regina and Hugo are truly a pair. But Romeo is also looking for a little companionship, but not with a parrot.
Yes, Uta.
Romeo's business trips are all a lie. He's having an affair with a woman named Uta.
I know, Uta, I miss you too. Look, we go out on a little vacation.
Regina is oblivious, and Romeo thinks he's getting away with it. But what he doesn't notice is that someone else in the house is on to him, someone whose intelligence he seriously underestimates.
It's between you and I. I adore you, Uta.
Hugo accurately hones an impression of Romeo, and his favorite new word is something he's hearing a lot, a woman's name, Uta.
Who is Uta? Who is Uta? Tell me, who is Uta? Da hat sich gestutzt.
I was very shocked because we don't know any Uta, so I thought there must be something wrong here. There's no Uta amongst our friends. There's no Uta in the family. Who is this Uta?
Hugo is relentless with his calls for Uta, delivered in a voice that perfectly mimics husband Romeo. Regina's suspicions lead her to do something she's never done, open her husband's mail.
Diesen Brief aufgemacht.
I saw that there was a trip for two, booked to Paris, for Uta, such and such.
Who is she?
All right. Uta is my mistress. Are you happy now?
Romeo's affair is now in the open. Regina makes her intentions clear as well.
Go and be with Uta.
Better that than a bloody parrot.
Hugo has played the stool pigeon by sticking his beak into Romeo's affair. Regina's marriage is over, but the friendship between a woman and her parrot lives on. Did a parrot really help to uncover a cheating husband? Did this happen? We'll let you know at the end of the show. In the meantime, here's another one of those mini-myths. Mini-myth number 241. A most familiar chat line. Joel Hamilton was successful in the boardroom, but his marriage was another issue. His other half, Carmela, was becoming increasingly disinterested when it came to the bedroom. So Joel called a sex chat line from his office, only to discover a familiar voice on the other end. It was his wife. Turns out she'd been spending so much time with other men on the phone, she didn't like the idea of the real thing. Embarrassing and a little disturbing, but is it true? No, it's false. But these stories continue to make the rounds on the internet, although it's never been reported as actually happening. On Urban Legends, we'll present 3 stories as fact, but 2 are really fiction. You have to decide what is true. So far, you've seen the jealous husband pour concrete in his surprise gift, and the parrot that helps to end an affair. And now it's time for our 3rd story, the lottery loser. Detroit, Motor City, and home to the sweet R&B sounds of Motown. It's the setting for our story about a man who's one of life's players. Meet Darrell J. Washington, a man who's locked in a cycle of gambling and cheating. His brother can attest to that. Meet Marcellus Washington.
Darrell, that guy, always looking to make a quick buck. Always. Man, I must have bankrolled that fool for years.
Darrell always hit up Marcellus for cash, but when it came to payback, well, that hardly happened. Meet Deandra Washington, Darrell's ex-wife.
He had the best clothes, the best moves, and he had the smoothest talk.
But Deandra caught Darrell using that smooth talk on other women. He was a hard man to trust, but she forgives him.
I know I should have kicked him to the curb right then and there, but made a commitment to him. I mean, Darrell was my man, for better or worse.
His various schemes and gambling are pulling in some serious dough.
Well, he was buying me furs and jewelry.
But Darrell was held in the vice of gambling.
This guy will bet on anything and everything.
Wow! Yes! Wow! Yeah!
Daryl was hitting a lucky streak. That's where all his money was coming from.
Poker and the ponies are his daily passion, but his biggest dream was hitting the big one, a lottery.
He would use the lottery every single week like it was a religion.
Thank God it wasn't drugs or gangs. Things were going good. We had money, and it was one of those good times.
But the good times and all the winnings are taking a toll on Daryl.
Wow!
It was changing his personality.
This is what I'm good at.
June 21st, 2001, Daryl and Deandra are out for dinner.
Right back. Boom! Healing. Can we talk about something else? You want to talk about what you're good at? This is what I'm good at.
Daryl's attitude is getting on Deandra's nerves.
No, let's talk about me. Let's talk about our winnings.
He started all his bragging. You know, I'm really living large now. It's all me. I'm the man.
I want it.
Deandra decides to bring Daryl down to earth.
I'll be right back, baby. I'll miss you. I miss you too.
Deandra knows Daryl will want to know the results of that night's lottery, so she quickly concocts a plan that involves the waiter.
And I told the waiter, he's gonna come back and he's gonna ask you what are the lottery numbers for this week.
Can I get you to help me play a joke on him?
Daryl always played the same numbers, and Deandra knows them by heart. She writes them on a napkin for the waiter to deliver when Daryl asks.
And so Daryl came back from the John and he checked his watch, 8:30. So he knew the lottery numbers were out.
Hey, repeat. Could you just check the lottery numbers for me?
And the waiter went, and he did exactly what I told him to.
I think I got
The waiter returns and gives the numbers to Daryl.
Daryl just froze, and he starts looking confused. And then he starts looking around himself, all crazy and bug-eyed.
I won! I'm on fire! Jesus! I'm like, come here! I love you!
Deandra's joke works.
You gambling fool. Sit down.
Don't tell me to sit down.
Deandra starts to think the joke worked too well.
You need to shut your mouth.
The confrontation escalates, and then Daryl makes an amazing admission.
I just won $9.5 million. You know, I'm gonna run off with your sister Monique.
My sister?
Oh, yeah.
And she's more of a woman than you'll ever be.
That was all Daryl needed. He was off, convinced he'd won the multi-million-dollar prize. He couldn't cash the ticket until the office opened after the weekend. But he and Monique checked into a luxury hotel and started spending. With his credit card maxed out, Daryl uses the ticket as collateral. With a bill approaching $23,000, the hotel decides to check in on the winning ticket.
I'd have paid $1 million myself just to see the look on his face.
Your card has been rejected.
Sir, who's this? I don't know. No, I'm gonna be right back.
Hotel security hand Daryl over to the police on allegations of attempted fraud. But it all worked out well for Deandra in the end.
I got Daryl out of my life. I found out about my no-good sister. And I got myself a new man who treats me correctly, like a lady. So thank you, Daryl J. Washington, wherever you are.
I won!
So a practical joke ends up delivering a bigger punchline than anyone could have imagined. But did you bet on it? Before you ante up, check out this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 122. The Hairdresser's Mistake. Cardiff, Wales, 1998. Hairdresser Anna Hobbs McGuinness was cutting a gentleman's hair one day. She was horrified and embarrassed when she noticed her customer's hands vigorously moving in his lap beneath his cape. Shocked, she bonked him on the head with a mirror, knocking him unconscious. The police were called, who looked under the cape to discover he had in fact just been cleaning his glasses. Do you need glasses to see the truth? It was false. This story has been around since the 70s. In some versions, The hairdresser is even charged with assault. It's time to reveal which one of our 3 stories is the real deal. Was it the lottery loser tricked into revealing his secret? Was it the story about the parrot who couldn't keep his beak shut about the extramarital affair? Or was it the jealous jerk who cemented his relationship for good? Only one of the 3 actually happened. If you had money on the story about gambler Daryl who thinks his numbers have come up, then you're going to be out of pocket. That story was false. This well-worn urban legend showed up on the internet in 1996 as part of a series of jokes about gambling. The story is usually told the same way. A woman is the victim, and the man is always having a fling with the woman's sister. It plays on many emotions from love and a sense of security to our risk-taker gambling streak. But you now know it's not true. That leaves the tell-all parrot and the concrete mix-up. If you couldn't believe someone could actually pour concrete into a shiny new convertible, then you'd be right. This story is urban legend. It's been around since the 60s. The model of the dream car changes with the era, but the overprotective, jealous, revenge-seeking spouse is a common character. In some versions, it's the wife who has the concrete poured into the cheating husband's car, but more often than not, it's the other way around. So that leaves us with the little feathered fellow named Hugo, the story of the parrot that could mimic voices and spill the beans about an affair. That was totally true. He really did listen, learn, and repeat Regina's cheating husband's phone calls, tipping off his owner. For those who know parrots, the behavior isn't a surprise.
Very common for parrots to be protective over the one they choose to be their mate. So if they consider another person to be an intruder on that relationship, they will defend their particular mate.
Polly, or Hugo in this case, really does deserve a cracker. So, did you guess correctly? If you were thrown off by the talking bird, never mind. There will be 3 more stories for you to consider on the next Urban Legends.